Hey everybody, this is Modern Refugee. I wanted to do a video on this particular topic for a couple of reasons. One, because of my background, I've had a lot of experience with these type of things, and there's a lot of crossover in different communities on YouTube, and this is one of them. And another thing is there's a lot of little tips and tricks and things when it comes to these type of items that I've learned through my own personal experience, things that can help out beginners, plus might be a few things that I talk about here today that would help out people who are a little bit more experienced. And I spent a lot of time with these things over the years, and I wanted to sort of share my knowledge. Now, I have other videos on these particular topics, and those links will be in the description as well, covering some of these things on an individual basis. And it is hunting season, and these type of things I think are seasonally correct for a video, and I wanted to talk about them. And what am I rambling on about here? I am talking about firearms and the crossover between the firearms community and the preparedness community. There's a certain amount of crossover on that. I think a lot of firearms videos that are out there, I think are a little too technical for the beginner, and I don't think that it's a lot of the videos on firearms they don't look at firearms for what they are, which is their tools. People get sort of wrapped around the wheel, so to speak, on all the little ins and outs and the newness of new hot things that are coming out, and they just got to go buy them. All the reviews are going to be on some new thing that some large, gun tuber has put out. But I wanted to share this stuff because I sold, firearms for years, and I wanted to kind of go over a few things here. I got a few examples of stuff here that I'm going to show you guys. And I think the main thing when it comes to firearms, when it comes to preparedness and shooting is I want my stuff to be reliable. And that pretty much takes care of anything brand new, new designs that are out there. It's sort of a well-known fact that the firearms manufacturers, they use the customers as the beta testers instead of putting in the work of actually running their different designs and stuff through the mill to make sure that they're a reliable firearm. So the firearms that I got all here are all proven reliable by me through experience, and everything I'm going to show you here is a mature platform. And what do I mean when I say mature platform? What I mean is they've been out for a while. Some of these particular models here have been literally out for decades. I don't want the newest, hottest thing. I want something that's old and proven. And the first thing I'm going to talk about here is handguns. And firearms in general. There's a lot of talk about, the one gun option, yada, yada, that kind of thing. I've even done videos on that too. But guns are like golf clubs. There is a different one for every shot. How many golfers do you know that go out with a bag with just one golf club in it? It just doesn't work that way. If you're hunting different game from small game to large game, or if you're, into personal protection or homestead protection or, truck guns or, everyday carry, concealed carry, there's different things that are going to fit into that. So those are sort of the topics, and then, the mature platforms. Now I have to find mature platforms to fill those niches. And probably the most common firearm that you're going to see when it comes to concealed carry and stuff is the Glock 19. And this has been my concealed carry for several years already. I bought this gun new. These are actually pretty reasonable. You can find these in almost any gun shop that is out there. And you're going to find new versions of these, and you're going to find old versions of these. And there you can get parts and stuff for Glock 19s literally anywhere. And that's one of the advantages to these guys here. And I pretty much don't do anything to a lot of my handguns other than maybe change the sights and keep some extra spare parts around. And the biggest thing to make these reliable are the magazines. And when it comes to handguns, factory magazines are what you really want. Now, there are some exceptions. There's a couple companies that make good aftermarket magazines. One of them is Magpul, and the other one is Magpul. Now, not every magazine is going to be 100%. So whenever you get magazines for one of your mature platform firearms, you want to proof each magazine individually to make sure that they're worked, because I've seen factory magazines that didn't work, and then I have seen, like Magpul magazines, good aftermarket ones that are not as good. But I have found less factory mags that didn't work compared to off-brand ones. So it's typically starting out, if you want to save money or whatever, you want to stick with your good factory magazines. When it comes to concealed carry, 9mm is good, but when I do a lot of hiking and stuff, I typically want a larger caliber. So then I will either carry a 45 ACP or I will carry a 357 Magnum. And this is my 45 ACP. This is a SIG 220 carry, and it holds 8 rounds. And that's what these magazines look like. They got a real smooth, slick finish to them to aid in reloading. And these larger calibers, if I run into something on the trail or whatever, I want a little bit bigger than 9mm. So that's why I use those calibers for hiking and more outdoor activity, as well as that I carry with me when I go hunting. This right here is one of the little tips that I'm going to throw out there. Ranger bands are cut up bicycle inner tubes, and they can actually be used to fill out a grip or add a little bit more girth to a handgun grip like this right here, to give you a more custom fit on guns where you can't change the back straps or whatever. The older variations of firearms don't have the more common version of being able to change the back strap. So this is one thing that I do if I want a little bit thicker grip on a firearm. And when it comes to handguns, there's your full metal jackets, and there are your hollow points or your jacketed soft points. And your full metal jackets are typically training, but I have seen game animals and stuff taken with full metal jacket ammunition because they penetrate. And on larger animals, penetration is what you need to bring that animal down. You want that deep penetration. And then, of course, you want some type of shock that will maybe knock an animal down when you're hunting stuff. And that's where a 357 Magnum comes in. And this is my 357 Magnum. And again, this is sort of set up for carrying, just like the Glock 19 and the SIG 220 carry that I just showed you. These are all intermediate size handguns. These are small enough that I can carry without a problem. They're not too large, yet I can custom the ammo in these to make them do the job that I want, just like the golf clubs. And I typically, on the 357 Magnum, I will load these guys here with the heaviest bullet that I can find, basically. And all 3 of those handguns that you've seen right here have all been on multiple hikes. I've taken the 220 and the 357 mag on deer hunts, bear hunts. These firearms have been out and about. But that's kind of the key takeaways. Mature platform stuff that's been around a while, and a lot of older firearms are actually superior as far as fit and finish and stuff to newer stuff today. So mature platforms, factory magazines, and then of course practice. The more you can get out and you can practice, and you practice carrying, if you have a CPL like I do here in Michigan, you can benefit by carrying your firearm and just becoming more comfortable with it. I know some people, they get an anxiety problem when they're carrying a loaded firearm, and it's something, the more and more you do it, you're going to become more accustomed to that, and it's going to become second nature. And when you first start out, you should kind of get on a regular basis of practicing, like once every 2 weeks or whatever, get out to the range, actually shoot, draw from your holster, that kind of stuff. And when you talk about holsters, slings, that kind of stuff, when you get into a firearm, to make that firearm the most effective, you're going to need a certain amount of logistics to go along with that. You're going to need a source to get ammunition on a regular basis. You're going to need a place to practice safely, and you're also going to need things like holsters, slings, pouches and stuff to hold ammunition. And then you're going to want to actually carry that stuff. You're going to want to actually practice with that stuff, whether it's a chest rig if you're using a rifle, or if it's the concealed carry rig. So the firearm is just one part of the equation. You're going to need stuff to make that firearm more effective. And the fancy military term for that is force multiplier. You're going to want your belts, your holsters, your pouches and stuff to hold your ammunition, chest rigs. You're going to want those things to help you out, to make you a better shooter all the way around. Now getting into long guns. I have, again, long guns for different shots. A home defense rig or a truck gun isn't going to be something that you're going to take waterfowl hunting or necessarily deer hunting. Well, an AR loaded with a 223 or 5.56 can take a deer with the proper shot placement. It is typically, that isn't the caliber that's used. And this is my truck gun here. This is a Colt LE 6920, and this is a AR pattern rifle, and I have a ACOG TA31 is actually the name of this scope on this. And this guy has, the ACOG is known for its durability, another reason why it's on this rifle. And the reticle inside the scope is set out for shooting at distance. So I can actually range targets using this scope to make me a more accurate shooter. And more or less, with the exception of changing the charging handle, having a good optic on it. I got a an aftermarket trigger in it that makes this a little bit of smoother shooting firearm. Changed the furniture around a little bit, and then I got a good quality sling on it. This guy right here is my truck gun, and I have been pretty effective with this as far as being an accurate shot out at distance. And again, that goes back to practice. Now, I actually have an accessory pouch that goes along with some of this stuff, and that's going to be a separate video too, and I will put a link for that video when I got it put together in this video as well, so you guys got that for reference. But I can change the configuration on this with what I have here to, again, make the shot that I need to make. But like I said, 223, 5.56 isn't really good for big game. So then you're going to need something larger. And if hunting is also, something could be possible in a SHTF scenario. Of course, everybody says, there's going to be no game animals left, but I disagree with that to a certain extent. It's going to depend on where you are and where you live. And then it gets to the shotgun. And being hunting season, we have went to a few local gun shops and some bigger ones here in Michigan, and it's interesting how the marketing of firearms has changed in the last 15 to 20 years. I remember a time when you walked into a gun shop, about 30% of the firearms you seen were 22s. Then about 50% were shotguns, and the other 20% were centerfire rifles. And now that is basically completely flipped with the popularity of the ARs, the more tactical stuff. Nowadays, when I go into these local gun shops, I'll see maybe 5% or 10% 22s, maybe 25 to 50% shotguns of different varieties, and most of those shotguns are more geared toward like collectors instead of actual field or rack grade shotguns that you would actually take out and hunt with. And then the rest is centerfire rifles, most of which are some type of AR. That is how I remember going into gun shops when I was a teenager and stuff. If there was 3 or maybe 4 ARs out of 250 guns, that's all there was. Now half the guns are ARs, and that's just how the market has changed. Now a shotgun is as close as what you're going to get to a single firearm option for a, for a prepper that you're going to get. But the problem with the shotguns is they have heavy recoil, they don't have as much range, so you need to know how to use one. But a shotgun, if you work within its limitations and you practice with it and you're not afraid of the recoil, a shotgun is extremely effective. A shotgun slug can take most game in North America if you're close enough. Buckshot is extremely devastating at close range. And then, of course, you can get different bird shots if you want to take geese or wild turkey or stuff like rabbits, pheasants. You pretty much change the ammunition and keep the same platform or firearm. But these are very simple to operate, and they're actually simple to work on if something malfunctions on these. And this is, my 870. It's an older one, again, mature platforms. The newer Remington stuff isn't near as good as the stuff that was produced 20 and 30 years ago, and that's for a lot of different reasons. And that's why I, again, like the mature platforms. They're just more reliable. Now getting into larger caliber rifles. If you're in an area where you can hunt bigger game, a larger bolt-action rifle is sort of your best option. You can pick the bullet, you can pick the caliber to, take an elk or take a large bear or, take a white-tailed deer at a longer range, because some cartridges are flatter than others. Some cartridges have more knockdown power than others. And so selecting the firearm, again, for the shot, just like the whole golf club analogy that I was talking about. And this here, again, is sort of set up like a truck gun. I've got it painted so I can use this out in the brush. A lot of people don't like painting guns, but you know what? When a gun is painted, it's just another layer of protection against the elements as well, just for the same reason. You paint a car, the paint on a firearm will actually, protect it from moisture and different things that are out there. And none of these firearms that I got here, I will, if there's something that I feel needs to be changed on these firearms, I will change them, just like the charging handle and the trigger group there on the AR. This one right here, I'm waiting for some decent scope caps because I'm a firm believer in scope caps. If you've seen on the ACOG there, I got scope caps on this, but I want decent scope caps. So sometimes it takes a while to find the right accessories for what you need. And like I showed you there on the AR too, I have a specific attachment here for a particular sling that works particularly good with this firearm. And so even though I got mature platforms, I will update with stuff that I feel is decent and worth having. And this ACOG on here, I can actually put what's called an RMR on this, which is a red dot. So then this with a magnified optic that I can shoot at distance, then I can also shoot at very close ranges with a red dot. So that's something that I've been thinking about adding onto this to expand this and make this a more effective platform. A more, it goes back to the force multiplier thing again. And then I also have I have a couple of handguns that are more waterproof. So if I want to, hike in an environment where I might get wet or I have to ford a river or something, I'm going to have a firearm that is going to be more impervious to the water. So that's kind of my take on prepping firearms here. You see all the videos, 5 firearms for the prepper or whatever, but these are kind of my takes on things and, the firearms that I have. And a lot of times, sometimes you get firearms that are passed down to you, or you pick a good deal on something and you have to use what's available to you. It's not a perfect world. And I've always had sort of an open mind when it comes to firearms. I'm going to use what's available for what's out there, and I'm going to cater that to my specific situation. But anyway, this is Modern Refugee. Appreciate all my subscribers out there. Hope you guys got a little information, a little entertainment out of this video here, just talking about firearms and prepping and the overlap of those two communities. You have a good one.